I'm Dominick Damasky.
And I'm David Fedor. Join us as we explore the fun things to do on and off the trails of Western Pennsylvania.
And remember, your next adventure is just a bike or hike away. Well, here we go, Dave. We're putting a bow on something today.
Season 3 has come to an end.
It's been a good one.
It was a lot of fun, but the weather out there is frightful, as they say. Way too cold for us to do outdoor adventures. So we're taking this time to look back at Season 3, talk about some of our favorite moments, some of our not so favorite moments, some of the times where I almost left you deep in the woods, hopped in my van, and went away because I was tired of all the facts.
I have notes about that. So I'm ready to get, if that's how we're going to start, I'm ready to roll right into this.
So today's episode, Season 3 recap. Go ahead, start us off then. Go ahead, air your grievances.
Okay, so one of the things I wanted to say when we're starting off, when we're wrapping up Season 3, some things happened this year. You were ill and got better.
Yep.
I broke a rib this year. So we're up at Moraine State Park. I'm recovering from a broken rib. One, you tracked me all over there in McConnell's Mill. But what I'm really mad about is when you shoved me almost into the lake and almost re-broke the rib that I was recovering from.
Okay, so I forgot that you had a broken rib.
Okay.
That's how great that you were a trooper to get in there to get the job done. So I apologize. I apologize for shoving you. I'm sorry if it hurt. It's because I think of you as this hiking strongman, this warrior, this rucksack-toting, outdoorsman who can handle a gentle shove. Now, sure, you have broken bones and things like that happen, so I apologize.
And I apologize for starting this Season 3 recap so hot.
So it's a little hostile, not what I expected.
Okay.
But that was a fun trip because we, the Moraine State Park ended up being episode 6. Episode 4 was the Eclipse. We filmed them back to back.
Okay.
On the way, we stopped at Moraine State Park, McConnell's Mill, and then went to Erie the next day to do the Solar Eclipse episode. That was our first Bikes and Hikes sleepover.
Okay.
It sounded weirder than it was. It wasn't necessarily as there weren't pajamas and camping.
No, we
stores.
watched WrestleMania instead.
It was WrestleMania. That's right. Yeah. It was like it was night 2 of WrestleMania or something like that, or night 1 of WrestleMania. Yeah, that's right. Wow, I forgot about that.
Okay, all right. So, if we're what?
That was also the first time at McConnell's Mill. After that, we stopped. We got dinner, and then you were like, "I need to find a TV. Caitlin Clark's going for the thing," and I'm like, "What are you? Who's Caitlin Clark?"
I had no idea. I live in a bubble. I don't know who Caitlin Clark is.
But that was my first exposure and first experience seeing Caitlin Clark lose, and it was fun.
Okay, so now back to I have notes here, and since you mentioned McConnell's Mill, I want to know: is it weird? And you tell me. I don't know this. Is it weird it's weird two guys filming because Dave makes everything weird because he's 9 foot tall.
Yeah. Did I mention our sleepover? Okay.
If two people are filming, and when we were in McConnell's Mill, we're out in front of that covered bridge.
Okay.
Why do people just walk in between the camera and where you're filming? Well, the camera's there. I'm right here.
I don't blame them. Influencers out there, especially like in gyms, they set up a thing and they're doing this and blah, blah, blah. But we were outside. Two people went out of their way to alter how they were walking to walk in front of us.
And they didn't even wave. They didn't wave at the camera or us.
No, it was okay.
Okay.
I'm fine with them doing that. But what was fun, or not fun, was the hike along the river to get from where we parked down to McConnell's Mill to see those falls and see that impressive thing. You were very, very struggling. So I appreciate
Yeah, Dave's like, you go first. And there's all like families behind us, and I'm walking down like this.
Yeah.
I give that one a check, a positive. Now, if you don't mind,
One more thing about the Moraine State Park, that we set up disc golf. We called my friend, and we were talking about going disc golfing at some point. So season 4 episode about disc golf.
okay, that's good to know. May I, since you brought up the Eclipse episode.
Sure.
Okay. This was almost one of my favorite things of the season.
Yeah.
And can you guess what it is?
Something that happened during the Eclipse episode?
My favorite thing,
Yeah.
almost, is Bessie. So
Lake Erie Bessie.
Lake Erie Bessie. So one, there's like a Loch Ness monster in Lake Erie. I don't know if it's a carp or something, but it's a giant fish. But me and Dave just got a kick out of this thought that Bessie's there. So the whole day, and even as the eclipse is coming down, we just go think like, Bessie. And
I wish we had saw her. I thought maybe the alignment of everything was going to make it special, and that was going to be her.
That was the moment.
But I'll tell you what, you mentioned as the actual eclipse happened, that's going to be a moment that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
That was definitely not only a highlight of the season to me, but like of my life. Like, I don't want to overstate, but seeing the moon cover the sun and then that halo that came around, photos and videos can't capture how awe-inspiring and how awesome that was to witness in person. So just being able to do that and be there and see that and try to communicate how awesome and special that was. There were a lot of people there.
That's true.
Specifically, a gentleman
Yep.
sitting next to us, blasting his radio so loud. He made a special mix specifically for the Eclipse.
The greatest playlist ever.
It was fun. It was all like 70s rock, trippy stuff. And I know for a fact that he timed it up because as soon as that full eclipse went up, Dark Side of the Moon started playing and the bells were going, and it was just this great energy.
I don't even know how he did it. It was perfect.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
But not perfect for when you're filming a television show
True.
and can't have that music playing. So you might be thinking, oh, why is this really loud music playing randomly during bikes and hikes? We don't normally do that. It was to try to disguise that music. But it added to the event in person, for sure.
Yeah, right on, man. Absolutely, it was a great moment, and I look back at that and think, here's all these people from all over, black, white, gay, straight, big, small, little, and all together, looking up at this one thing, just one moment of togetherness.
You were talking about America. You were like, I can't believe it. This is so
America's
great.
the
America's
best.
the best. And it was like, there was a nice community of a shared experience from the people who got to see that. Now, when we say shared experience from people seeing that, no, this is still Eclipse stuff. Okay. There were a lot of people. There were thousands in the area, right? But there were also people in other places up north of Pennsylvania that were seeing that.
Yeah.
So I was amazed that we got there so early, that we got there so easily. That was one of the things that we talked about in the show, is like we just drove right in. I expected there to be lines of people waiting to get to the beach. The beach itself was a fun place to witness it. 20 miles south, you have the same exact view and see the same exact thing, but you're not surrounded by a lake. You're not surrounded by beach and all the other people. But that means that when we're driving back home south towards Pittsburgh and everybody's getting on the same highway and they're in front of you, it created quite a log jam. The episode ended with us pointing to the sun and being like, hey, this is great, thanks for watching. We immediately ran off of that beach, jumped in the van, and got out because we didn't want to get stuck on the island. We didn't want to get stuck in downtown here. We were able to get onto 79 or 279, I forget which one it is up there. And then we proceeded to sit there for about
Forever.
3 hours.
Yeah.
It took over 6 hours to get from Erie back to.
Why are you trying to bring everybody down? Like,
I'm just saying.
This show has been so positive.
Yeah,
and then
started off hot with you attacking me
that's
quite
true.
viciously. But I'm just saying that at the end of that day, it was a long, exhausting, horrible day. Imagine being trapped in a car for 6 hours with Fact Man over here. No, I'm just kidding. It was great. If you weren't there, I probably would have had even harder of a time. But it was exhausting. And to go from the highest of highs of seeing a once-in-a-lifetime complete total solar eclipse to then having your back and your legs hurt for sitting in a car, for sitting in a van for 6 hours. It was quite a swing.
Okay, well, speaking of swings
Okay.
and things that were horrible, so this year we decided to participate in Anything That Floats for the second time. First year, the boat we built was top heavy. I don't know, Dave filled the bottom with sand. It was a bad idea.
Tom filled the bottom with sand.
So this year we decided to come back stronger and compete against each other.
Right.
So I got a team, my neighbor, my father-in-law, my dad helped. We spent nights, weekends. It was hot. We spent all this time building our boat. And like Dave was sending me videos of him working on it. I thought maybe he had one of the local Votex involved or something like that. I'm really thinking like, I gotta work harder. I mean, I put hours and hours.
Sure. Well, you drank all that iced tea.
Yeah, all the Turner's tea.
Oh my goodness.
My family gave it our all. So on the day of race day, we went to meet up, and he's like, "Oh, meet me here in some parking lot before." I'm like, "Okay."
Some parking lot. It's the Armstrong Studios.
Okay, well, in my story, he takes me to this random parking lot, and I show him my boat, and he's like, "Okay, mine's in the van." And he films us, like, Dave.
Yeah, they watched it. They saw this.
You can't just have a conversation with your friend Dave. Everything's got to be on camera. But anyway, so he films. He's like, "Okay, we'll see your boat. Now let me get mine." He goes over to the van and pulls out this thing that's this big. And I know, like, and I'm like pretending to smile. Really, I just want to like punch him. And
You mean this big?
this dirty thing right here. I slam it. I mean, you realize that was cruel.
Yes. That was the point. I mean, I didn't expect you to be so personally hurt.
And then I had to smile like, yeah, this is really great. I'm glad. I'm going alone in 20 minutes.
So I wanted to memorialize our Anything That Floats adventure with a forever statue that could be on display here at the Armstrong Studios in my office, so that I could look up at it and think, "Oh, remember that time you and your friend risked your lives and went down the Youghiogheny River and almost went all the way down the Youghiogheny River. Poor pink bike still is somewhere, probably, at the Mississippi by now." So that was the intent behind it, to honor you. Does that sound good?
I had no idea you were honoring me. Thank you for letting me and my family put all that.
Yeah, you could have. No, I'm gonna keep it because I'm worried that you would destroy it the second I stop filming.
Okay, so go on.
Well, see, what I have here about that is still feel betrayed, and clearly he does a little bit. What was fun is it did still take me a good amount of time creating that thing, and I documented it, filming it here, and filmed it with a GoPro as well. But I accidentally deleted all the GoPro footage. So if you watch it, like I would have liked to have had a better build video of that, close-ups of, because you could see me, like I sped up the footage and I'm like, and it would have been great, but it was all deleted. That sometimes happens.
Good. After Dave surprised me with that gift of that little boat, I at the time, I hadn't had this awakening yet, this epiphany of being a better person.
Sure.
So I had the idea that I was going to get back at you at some point.
Okay.
So.
But yet I'm the horrible one, the vindictive one. But
Oh,
okay.
I wasn't. I hadn't
drove
evolved,
you to that.
Yes,
okay.
I hadn't evolved to this where I'm at the end of season 3.
Okay.
In the middle of season 3, I wanted to get back at Dave. So when we went to Jennerstown, Armstrong sponsored a night at Jennerstown Speedway.
Yep.
And me and Dave got to go out on the racetrack.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. This was something that was years in the making because Armstrong and Jennerstown has been partnering up with promotions and Armstrong nights and things like that where customers can go and get discount tickets to Jennerstown Speedway to watch the races. Yeah. Awesome time, a lot of fun. Been there in years past, doing trivia, doing other interviews, doing around the towns, things like that. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I want to race on this track. I want Dominick and me to have a bike race around this track. So finally we made it happen.
Yeah.
And what I expected was before the night, before things started, before the cars got out there, we could go in during the day and we could have a nice race. But when we got there, they're like, "Oh no, we have you in after race number 6. So you're going to be out there and
Before the main heat.
Before the main heat, you're going to." And I'm like, "Are you telling me that I have to race?
This place is full.
Like it's a half-mile track?"
Yeah, something like that.
And while 2,000 people are sitting there watching, waiting to see NASCAR races, and these two yahoos are out here on bikes. Yeah. And I'm like, oh great, it's gonna take us 20 minutes. People are gonna be booing us.
Yeah,
it's gonna be awful. But luckily, it wasn't a horrible experience.
It was an amazing feat. Now, let's explain how your victory happened. Okay. So I figure that we're going to be in front of a lot of people. And I figured they might interview us before. Like I thought there could be some exchange in a microphone or something like that. So I prepared.
You called ahead and told them to put us in the main.
Actually, I did talk to Chip and ask him if I asked him what the flow would be and would it be all right. I just asked like a question. He said, yeah, you're okay. So I decided that I should represent Dave Fedor as best I could. So I made my own jersey, a really high quality jersey that said Fedor, David Fedor on the back, and I gave him a number, and so the number was 0. And as we got ready to race, I figured I couldn't lose. It's like sometimes in life you do something that's all right. So once I had a Dave Fedor shirt on, I really figured I couldn't lose.
Right.
So I jumped up and I'm like, Dave. I acted like the biggest jerk because at worst they thought I was Dave Fedor. So
that's how you think of me. I understand.
So
that's
then once
fine.
we got out on the track, I had my whole wrestling bit ready to go. I said, I'm Dave Fedor. I'm the fastest thing to ever go around this track. I am Dave Fedor. I am smart, I am talented, and I am the fastest thing to ever go around this track on wheels.
All right, so let's rate the
And so even though Dave won.
I did win, but the announcer
He was
like,
so confused, he announced me.
like, the winner is Dominick. I'm like, no.
He said, yes. So that was my way to repay that thing that you've seen. But like I said, I've evolved.
Yeah,
And there's no
You're
more-
letting it go.
Yes.
You're letting it go, and it was a fun experience because how many times can something like that happen? Like we're talking once in a lifetime with a complete total solar eclipse. Yes. We're talking once in a lifetime with a bicycle race around a racetrack, a NASCAR racetrack. Like that doesn't happen. So just being able to get that and share that experience with you, sure, you were mocking me the whole time. I'm all right with it because I was able to take my son there and he had a great time watching it and he helped film.
Yeah,
he helped
he did a
film
great
some
job.
of the things. Yeah. And he also then got to go into the pace car that night got to ride around. A random racer gave him a trophy because we were in the winner's circle, and he's like, "I have 1,000,000 of these here, kid." And Griffin was like, "What? This is amazing." He's like, "I feel like I stole this." I'm like, "No, he gave it to you. It's okay." And he's like, "Can I keep it?" So it's like on his dresser, and he loves it and stuff like that. So yeah, that was a fun night. So thanks for having that happen.
One of the things I wanted to talk about, so we went to this park.
Death slide. I had legit fall scary slide by Dominick.
Yes. So sometimes we just push a little bit farther, a little bit farther.
Yeah.
We don't always film everything, but sometimes mics catch things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that day, we're on this edge, and we were there for like going along and let's go a little farther, a little farther. There's leaves, and all of a sudden, I was like this, sliding face down on these leaves. And like sometimes it's just not funny.
Right.
Like it's kind of like.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for laughing. It was a scary moment where you were legit uncontrollably sliding towards
Route 28.
a 300-foot fall down the Route 28. Yeah, that was scary. I remember really having to stifle my laughter when that happened.
Hey Dom, could you redo that again on camera?
And that was the big thing. Like I was very disappointed that we didn't capture that on camera.
You know what we did capture at Harrison Hills?
What's that?
Was Harrison Hills when you were swearing again when we were looking for when I wanted to go to a marsh and you were very cranky about that too? And just like all of a sudden, like we're just at this lovely park. And
nobody likes trudging through mud.
You know how rare it is to see a marsh?
My feet like dude, I'm done. I'm done, man.
Come on, man.
This is torture. I'm doing a lot of self-reflection during this, and I'm feeling that maybe that maybe my fun, jovial attitude as we're exploring is coming off a little different than I intended. So yeah, I apologize.
Hey,
I'm sorry I ruined season 3 for you, Dominick.
No, you didn't. And actually, I will say that our dear friend, Superfan Phil, who we lost this year, Superfan Phil, greatest guy, most supportive guy, he always said, like we saw him at Walmart the one day, and he was like, I want you to pick on each other more. That's my favorite part. So in honor of Superfan Phil, you can do what you want.
All right, I'll still do it. All right, so we talked about not filming things. We talked about you sliding and falling off camera. One other thing happened this season, which to me was one of the
Where are you going?
horrible things to witness. I was so upset and worried about you and your safety.
Yes.
Is that where you thought it was going? Because that will be season 4. Season 4 is going to be a new leaf. Supportive, happy.
Okay, so get to it. What are you talking about?
Wolf Rocks.
Okay, nice.
We hiked 2.5 miles through a dense forest, being attacked by all kinds of bugs. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Some worms that were dangling from, like, were they silkworms? Is that what they're
I
called?
don't know. There was a lot that day.
But yeah, and like everything was itchy because it was all crawling. We saw those giant beetles that scared you and things like that. And we get to Wolf's Rock, and it was awesome, Wolf Rocks. And the view was gorgeous.
We've never been there, and never even been on that side of the mountain there.
Right.
So,
It was breathtaking, and we were done filming. We filmed our outro even, I believe, and it was like, okay, cool. Before we started the 2.5 mile hike back to the van, we decided to just explore a little bit and crawl around the rocks a little bit more. And Dominick, what did you encounter?
So, I did not know that this area is a den of snakes, popular with rattlesnakes. So as I'm hopping, going further and further out on the rocks, Dave, now we're saying 20 feet from me, 30 feet from me, we're still like yelling back and forth, and it's windy, and we both are hearing, and like almost like it's added to the wind, like
Yeah.
So, and then all of a sudden, I look down, and I see like thick rattlesnakes, like right between, because I'm stepping from rock to rock.
Right.
And this is the moment my life changed. And I realized, I had never realized there's rattlesnakes like out in the world. And so I bounced from one rock to the other, halfway down the rocks. And then I'm on the front facing of the rocks like this, thinking, how am I going to get back up? Because they're probably sleeping all through there.
Luckily, so Wolf Rocks, we were at the top. Right beyond that is 100-foot drop, 80-foot drop, something like that. Very disastrous. There was a way to kind of climb down the hill if you jumped on these rocks, like Q-Bert style.
Yes.
And that was what we intended on doing. Luckily, you were over there and not up here, because you reflexively jumped from this den of snakes. And had that been somewhere else, who knows what could have happened.
I will now respect, because then once we started researching the area.
It's apparently well known that there are snakes
Everybody knows.
at Wolf Rocks.
People that bike and hike and encourage other people to explore the outdoors all know, except for us, that this area is covered with rattlesnakes.
So one of the things that was fun that, or not fun, but fortunate for us, or for me, or whatever, you know what I mean. As we were walking back through the forest to go to the van, there was a family that was walking up, and it was, they had a dog, they had a small child, and it was a man or a woman. And they were like, oh, how much farther is it? And we were like, oh, it's about a mile yet, because we were about halfway there. And we were like, just beware. Right to the left, there is some snakes, so keep your ears peeled, because, you know, a dog or a small child could easily be bitten, and bad stuff could happen out there, especially being 2.5 miles away from your
Wear
car.
pants, wear boots, go at certain times of the year, be alert, all things that expert bikes and hikers like us will now share with you.
And something else that we could share with you. You've never heard this, Dominic. I have.
Okay.
Now, the videos, our cameras weren't rolling. So that's why it wasn't in the episode. But our microphones were still on.
Okay.
So I have the audio. This is the real audio from the event. You could kind of hear the what I like to call a den of rattlesnakes.
Okay.
But you get to hear Dominic's reaction to the snakes.
Holy Holy was that big? How do I get back up there? Holy Dave. Go out on that rock. Holy You hear it hissing?
Oh, yeah.
Is that real? Holy
That is real. That is 40 seconds of you letting out expletive after expletive after expletive, which now we could look back and laugh at, but it was sheer terror, and I think captured it well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad we could capture that for you. So that would mean that's a wrap on season 3.
Correct.
So I would leave most episodes like this. Remember, memories are just a bike or hike away.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, let's shake hands.